My name is Jovino Santos Neto, and I'm a musician, pianist, composer from Brazil. And I moved here to Seattle in 1993, so it's quite a while ago. Originally as a student here at Marsh College of the Arts, and I'm a teacher here. I teach music, composition, ensembles, several kinds of classes. Yeah, jazz is one of the things that I like very much because it has a lot of freedom in it, has a lot of improvisation. And but I definitely do not qualify what I play exclusively as jazz because that also will limit what a lot of people think about what jazz is. They may immediately think of groups playing in clubs, to a smoke atmosphere, something very kind of like serious and always in black and white. Like everybody dressed up a suit and a tie, playing very serious music. And I like that. I can do that, and I enjoy that. But if I that would be all that I do, I would be missing a lot. I really take a very creative classical musician, very well trained and very skilled at doing what they know how to do. They can actually they can play the same piece in many different ways by altering very subtle things or big things. And sometimes there's more improvisation happening in classical music than in so-called jazz, where people are just rehashing the same old scales, playing them back and forth, and become just licks. A lot of music, a lot of rock music is lick based, and I like it. I love rock music, but a lot of it is basically there's the great creators, and there's a whole bunch of people who just play the licks. They learn the licks, and it's like you call yourself a cook, but all you do is open cans and hit them up. It says, "Oh, here's this beans I made." Hey, you just opened that can. Oh, but I heated it up. So the ability to learn how to listen deeply inside music. Because when you look at music, it's like water. You can look at the water, you can say, wow, there's a whole bunch of waves today. The ocean is windy, so you see a lot of movement on the water. But you're not seeing anything that's underwater. You're not seeing the marine life, you're not seeing the coral reefs, you're not seeing whatever is underneath the water because don't have the equipment. We have eyes, but we see only the surface. Now, if you dive in the water, you're going to see some more things. If you go in a submarine, you're going to see a lot more things. So music is sort of like that. Your ears can take you very deep inside of it, or it can be just skimming the surface. So this ability of music to have this depth, and you can listen very deeply. I mean, many times we play, because we're improvisers, we play something which is totally improvised. So in other words, we're being guided by the music to play something, but we're not even aware of what it is that we're doing until you do a recording, then you listen back to it and say, wow, look at what happened right there. There's this really beautiful, deep connection happening. And I just did it without being aware of it, which is really cool if you can do that. The improvisation, you have to be fully alert. It's like life or death, really. And not that you're going to die if you play a note, but you have to be kind of like engaged in full attention mode without any tension. So it's attention without tension. It's awareness. You have to be aware and be mindful of what's happening. So in other words, you have to listen and play according to what you hear. And sometimes there's a very big pattern being developed that you're not even aware of. Sometimes there is a pattern, but then if you try to control too much, it just sounds like this. It's overly controlled. So there's a certain balance between not knowing what's going to happen and trusting that, and having a little bit of a personal touch about how you guide things around. Every generation you have people saying that it used to be better. And I think that it used to be good, and it's still good, and it's going to be good. Because as long as people are making it, there's going to be cool things being made, and some things that are not so cool. You don't have to like everything. You don't have to eat everything all in one sitting. What is an instrument changes all the time. The piano is a recent development. And the piano is like 200 something years old if you consider that people have been making music as long as there are people. So you think of it a piano. Now we think of it as a traditional instrument, but it's actually it was a big leap in technology that enabled something like the piano to be built, or like a guitar, like an electric guitar, like a saxophone. Even a clarinet is sort of a new instrument. The clarinet was pretty much invented around the time of Mozart. So there was no clarinets before. So we think that instruments have been around forever. So if you think of it this way, if you look at music and the long story of music, there will always be new instruments. And we use computers and electronic devices as tools. It only makes sense that some people use them as instruments. You have to be careful that to define who is the musician, who is the instrument, regardless of what kind of musician, regardless of what kind of instrument you're doing. There has to be a sense of the creativity and who's running it. It's a reversal of a situation in which the computer is making a decision and the so-called quote unquote musician is just the instrument of the machine. So you usually can tell that right away for a simple reason that it fails to move people when they listen to it. They don't get touched by it. Whereas when people play instruments, as soon as you reach a basic level of skills and craft and what you do, you're able to touch people. And when I mean touch, I mean resonate. It's like people listen to it, they feel something. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you hear music, you don't feel anything, which is a weird thing. It's better for you to feel anger or feel, revolt at the music than to not feel anything. The tools are the instruments. Music is a force. It's much more than that. Music is like, if you want to compare it to something, you can compare it to like light. Light is a force. Like gravity is a force. The wind is a force. Music is one of those. It's one thing that doesn't belong to anybody. It cannot be really claimed by any culture. I mean, there's cultural music that belongs to certain geographic areas, some ethnic groups. But like Brazilian music is very powerful, very strong, and I love it. But at the same time, I cannot say that I make Brazilian music. I'm a Brazilian because I was born in Brazil, but I make music. The music lives not on the ground of Brazil. It lives in the atmosphere above it. So once you cross the borders, you're in other places. So when I go to India, what am I making? Is it Brazilian Indian music or is Indian music? Is Brazilian? I don't know. It's a question that loses its meaning when you start to ask it too much. So I really find the music, instead of being a tool, is really a force. We use tools to manipulate that force and to connect, make it resonate, to amplify it, and to share it with other human beings. And that's how that works.